cabinet table is set as Prime Minister Justin Trudeau prepares to win over the West and opposition leaders, all in an effort to prop up his minority parliament for as long as he can. So what issues can Mr. Trudeau bend on, and where should he get into, I don't know, a political stare down? Finding an ally in order to survive in the job is the job of the new government House Leader and Quebec Lieutenant Pablo Rodriguez, and he joins us now. Great to have you on the program, Minister. Look, at the end of the day, you really only need one major party to support you, the Conservatives, the NDP, or the Bloc. Based on each of these campaign promises, in your view, who is most aligned with your party's values? Who are you seeking support from?
Well, it will depend on the issue. We're going to go issue by issue. As we've mentioned before, fighting climate change is really important for us. So we'll be discussing that with the NDP, with the Bloc Quebecois. On the other hand, we also want to reduce taxes for the middle class, so we can discuss that with the Conservatives. So piece by piece.
Okay, what message would it send to the rest of Canada, especially a Canada divided right now, if the only party that will dance with the Liberals is the Bloc Quebecois, who are no longer hiding their separatist agenda? Is that politically acceptable or toxic?
Well, I expect all parties to collaborate from one point to the other. You know, we came out from a very nasty election, and Canadians didn't like that, and they expect us to work together. So we're all under surveillance, right? We're under surveillance as a government, but also the opposition, and I expect that they want to collaborate to make sure that we move forward. So sometimes they want to say yes, or sometimes no, but we're going to be talking to everybody.
Okay, but let's say the Conservatives say, sorry, we're not going to support you, which is pretty likely. They may not do that. The NDP said there's not enough there because they've made demands on moving the climate targets, and they don't like the pipeline that your government insists you're going to build. That leaves you with the Bloc. And the Bloc has said, look, we're happy to support the Liberals as long as they don't meddle too much in Quebec's business. Could you just accept the speech on the throne if it's just the Bloc Quebecois? What message does that send to an alienated Western Canada?
No, but the Bloc was elected by Quebec, who are Canadians in a democratic election. So they're in the House like the other parties. So in some cases it could be the Bloc, in other cases it could be the NDP or the Conservatives. The important thing is we move forward with good policies for Canadians.
Yeah, but
the
Minister, I get that, but the optics, you can't be blind to the politics. You guys have clearly a divided country after the last election. If you're just working with the Bloc in order to survive on this speech from the throne, that sends a message that this is many ministers like you from Quebec, you're working with the separatist Bloc. What message would that send to the West?
But Evan, who says that we would be working only with the Bloc? I mean, this is thoroughly, it's an hypothesis, right? Like we're actually drafting the speech from the throne, so we'll see what it's in there, and we're going to be discussing with everybody. It could be just with the NDP, and why not with the Conservatives if they're happy with the tax cuts or things like that? Okay,
would you move forward? Let's talk about that to try to win some of that support. Will you move forward on any of the demands made by the opposition leaders when they met with the Prime Minister, like putting a date and a timeline on a national pharmacare or dental care program, or changing Bill C-69, the environmental assessment around pipeline projects? Will you make concessions like that?
Well, we were very clear on what the priorities are, right? You saw it during the election. We said it after. The Prime Minister was very clear: fighting climate change, lowering taxes for the middle class, fighting poverty, this and that. So this is what we want to do. This is what we told Canadians we would do. Now we have to find people, dancing partners that will move forward with us on those priorities. If there's tweaking to do here and there, it could be possible. It depends. But actually, we're working on the throne speech, right. And let's see what it is before.
But that's what I'm asking. What are you tweaking on? Because I know what you said before the election, but Canadians said we don't want you to have a majority. We want you to have a minority. They put you guys a bit in the penalty box. They want you to put water in your wine. So what are the little tweaks? So give me an example of what your government is discussing to tweak.
Well, we don't know because we're not discussing at this moment. At this moment, we're drafting the throne speech. We know what our priorities are. We have an idea of what the others would like us to do. And you're absolutely right. The Canadians sent us a message, and we understood the message. We have to be very humble. We have to listen more, and we have to collaborate. And we will definitely collaborate.
Okay, so the Bloc leader says that he's looking for you guys. He'll support the Liberals if you turn a blind eye to Bill 21, which is the religious symbols ban. Now it's law, not just a bill. Do you personally, as a Quebecer, as a minister, do you consider that legislative discrimination, as the federal leaders have said?
No, but it has nothing to do, Bill 21 has nothing to do with the throne speech or anything we're doing in Canada. This is provincial legislation that's been adopted by a provincial government, and it's actually in front of the courts, brought by Quebecers. So we'll see what happens with that, but it has nothing to do with what we're doing in Ottawa.
I know, but if you believe it's legislative discrimination, and the Quebecers are saying don't intervene, I'm just trying to figure this out. I agree it's not part of the speech in the throne, but to keep turning your nose away from something that you consider legislative discrimination in order to win support, what does that say about the party itself?
No, Evan, I mean, it's a discussion that's actually taking place in Quebec. It's front of the court, actually. It's not something we're getting involved. We're following.
Well, you could support, to be fair, the federal government could, but the federal government could join and fight that in the courts, because after all, it is a question of religious freedoms.
It's already in the courts. It's already in the courts. It's there. It's brought by Quebecers, and it's been discussed there. Now, what we're concentrating on, as I told you, it's climate change. It's fighting poverty. It's building social housing. That's our job, and that's what we're doing.
Okay, what will be the first priority? I know there's a speech from the throne, but your job is to cut deals and make sure there's support. Can you give us any sense of what the first piece of legislation might be? What the priority will be of this government in terms of actual legislation?
Well, I can't tell you what's going to be the first legislation, but I can tell you that lowering taxes for the middle class will be among the top priorities. And you've read the program, I'm sure, Evan, and you've followed the elections. You know what we want to, fight climate change very aggressively. We want to reduce poverty, be there for the middle class. So that's what we're going to try to do. With the help of other parties. We understand that we're a minority. This is the will of Canadians. We respect the will of Canadians. We accept that. Now we have to discuss with others.
All right, I got to leave it there. Minister Rodriguez will be watching closely. After all, it's all on you how long this government survives. I appreciate you coming on the program today.
Thank you very much, Evan.